New York.
Apple.
Hot dogs.
Dollar.
Hollywood.
Democracy.
Freedom. Rock and roll. Wall Street.
Statue of Liberty.
Los Angeles, California.
McDonald's.
Jeans.
Bubblegum. Video games. Nintendo.
What's so great about America?
Every Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m., explore American culture and language.
With Master Steve,
Ina MK,
And Hasba Cutie.
tune in to find out about what makes America so great.
The Great American Weekend. Listen exclusively on Radio Von 103.1.
Also, watch us on the Radio Von Facebook page, website, and mobile app. Welcome to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Von.
Good evening, Master Steve. It's so great to see you back here.
Thank you.
How have you been?
It's very good to be back.
And thank you so much for all your calls.
Well, thanks for taking care of things while I was
gone. From the United
gone.
States. It was a real American weekend with American calls. So how did you spend your weekend?
How did
I mean,
my long weekend, like week and a half in the U.S., I was busy with some stuff there. And maybe we'll talk about that later. But for now, I want to talk about, what happened just a couple of days ago and what's been going on. We're going to be talking about Halloween.
Exactly.
A little bit today. And actually, today is not Halloween. That's always the 31st of October. Today, though, is related to Halloween and the traditions of Halloween. Today is All Souls Day.
Yeah.
Which in Catholic countries in Europe, it's actually... It's All Souls Day, so it's Memorial Day, basically. It's the day where people go to the cemeteries and remember their relatives that have died.
Are gone.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's like the big Merolots, right? In Catholic countries, and the tradition of that. So then the day before, November 1st, is All Saints Day. Which is the day that they celebrate the lives of all of the saints. You know, saints always have their own day, which is either on the day that they were supposedly born or the day that they died. Usually the day that they died, because we don't usually know the day that they were born on. So you've got their saints' days, but then November 1st is the day for all of the saints. And again, this is primarily in the Catholic tradition. So then that would then the day before that is All Hallows Eve, and Hallow means like holy. So holy. All Hallows Eve, which turns into Halloween, is the night before Saints' Day. Yep. And there are also pagan traditions. Yeah, there are also pagan traditions. I'm going to have some like Halloween related slang and terms later on in the show, and we'll talk more about Halloween and stuff then.
And I'd like to announce that tonight, it's not only us in the studio, later,
actually,
like in a bit.
Sooner rather than later, after this upcoming commercial break.
We are going to welcome here Adam Ambrozy. He is a special guest who is in Yerevan for a short time, and he's going to share with us why he is here.
Yeah, he lives in Germany. He's originally from Poland. He's lived in various countries around the world. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. I think there were 7 of them listed. He's the CEO and founder of Inetial, I think is how you pronounce it, which is an HR tech startup, and he'll talk a little bit about that. It's an interesting idea. I'd like to hear about it. And he's here for the Armenian HR Association conference.
8th Regional HR Conference about the future of work, organized by Armenian HR Association and Cascade People and Business.
What does HR mean? What does that stand for?
Human resource.
Human resources. Yeah, so it's how businesses deal with people.
Yeah.
How they're dealt with.
And also, guys, you can call in 560901 and participate, chit-chat with us on air, ask questions to our guest. And for those of you who don't have the access to frequency, you can watch and listen us live on www.radiovon.fm, our official
We're
website.
live streaming on Facebook.
Yes, our Radio Van Facebook page and also our Facebook group, Great American Weekend Radio Van.
And the app.
And the app, of
app.
course.
The Radio Van app.
Download the Radio Van app and listen anywhere around the globe. This was the advertisement moment. And now we're ready for the break. And after the break, we are going to welcome, once again, Adam Ambrozy. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly.
He'll correct you if you're wrong.
Who's here in Yerevan for the 8th Regional HR Conference about the future of work organized by Armenian HR Association and Cascade People and Business, hosted by RP Karapetyan. We'll be back shortly after the break. Stay tuned. Listen to the Great American Weekend on Radio Van 103.1.
Come and hang with us every weekend. It'll be a blast.
A blast?
Yeah, a good time.
No, come chill with us. It'll be cool.
Chill?
Yeah, relax, hang out.
Come choose the fat with us.
Yuck! No way! Join us!
On the Great American Weekend, where we'll help you decode American slang.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here at Radio Van 103.1 in Yerevan. And our guest is here already and ready to chat with us, Adam Ambrozy. Am I pronouncing your last name?
That's super correct, yeah. Internationally, it's pronounced like this. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, wait,
and good
internationally
evening.
it's pronounced like that?
Yeah, because I originally come from Poland, and in Poland we say Adam Ambrozy.
Ambrozy.
So there is some accent on this.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll say it in the way you do. Adam Ambrozy.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for having me.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. So what brings you to Armenia?
Actually, I've come for the 8th Regional HR Conference. That's been, it's almost finished right now. It started on Friday and it's lasted until now, basically. So I'm going straight from the conference almost.
Oh,
Ready for the party.
Ready
tonight.
for the party, for the final gala, as we say.
And
Yes,
we're
definitely.
just holding this guy here in the studio, keeping him away from the
If all of a sudden he
starters.
disappears, don't be offended. We shouldn't be offended. He's
Yes.
got a party to go to. And
Yeah, it's a
this
pleasure.
probably is not. This is probably not as fun as a party.
We understand. So if you need to leave,
Let's leave this evaluation for later, but so far so good. Energy is great here, so fantastic.
great.
What was the theme of the conference? What
The
were
future
you
of
guys...
work. The future of work.
Okay.
So-
Is there a future to work? I'm kind of hoping there isn't. I'm hoping the computers will just take over everything, and us human beings can just sit back and relax. Is that what you guys were talking about?
Well, all in all, it's a very good question. I think there are some roles that might be gradually, replaced over time. But all in all, no. I think the future is very human, actually.
Okay.
And it's interesting when you look at it, because it's like if you think of the potential impact of machine learning and AI, and a lot of people are afraid of it, really, that machines will take over our jobs, will take our decisions, will fire us, capture our
It's
mistakes.
all because of the Hollywood movies, I think.
Yeah. And Halloween, maybe.
For some people, technology and AI is like this grand end to everything, where everything will be perfect, and for others, it's a Halloween horror story.
But Steve, there is always one human left who will change everything.
Who will change the batteries?
Who will turn off the lights?
No, it's super interesting topic, guys, because if you think about it, we are not able as human to understand how our brain functions, and we think, all right now we will create machines that will be smarter than us. I'm not sure whether we are smart enough to create machines that are smarter than us.
That's a good
Well,
point.
it's always the thing, what is intelligence? And we have a hard time defining that. We have intelligence, and then we have emotional intelligence, and then you have all these. So what is AI, artificial intelligence, if we can't define what intelligence is and how it happens in our own brains? I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, precisely.
How can we recreate that if we don't really understand it?
Precisely, and when I look at AI or machine learning, I think that all right, it's a set of algorithms that will help us, will analyze, will give us some recommendations, but then the decisions about the future are ours. So right now I would shift the question how to strategize really around artificial intelligence, how we human can keep control over it.
Oh yeah, well, and honestly, we still have control because we're the ones who are creating the algorithms.
Yeah, but looking at fears that are sometimes sparked when discussing AI and machine learning, the fears are great, you know. So the question is how to shift even approach.
Yeah.
To just stop with all these fears and start strategizing how we can really use it for our good. And then, Steve, we are going to the point when we'll have more time to focus on things that matter and to channel our creative energy to things that matter.
Yeah.
Speaking of this scary stuff, and you kind of speaking a little lower than usual, I want to ask: have you ever participated in a Halloween party?
Well, yes, in quite a few actually. And today I'm also looking forward, and I really wonder whether there will be some elements of Halloween during our clothing party.
If you drink a lot,
It'll get
we guys are ready for a break, and right after that, we'll find out whether Adam has been in the United States. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend. We'll be back, and you guys will enjoy "Go Wake Up" by Parov Stellar. Stay tuned.
Hey, Steve, do you like Chash Harisan spas?
Yeah, I love them. But what would you call them in English?
Yeah, I'd call them cowfoot stew, chicken porridge, and sour yogurt soup.
Sorry I asked.
The Great American Weekend.
Welcome to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn. I am Master Steve.
I'm Ina MK, and we've got Adam here in our studio sitting on the red couch and ready for all the...
So here's a surprise question. You heard the
surprise
little trailer that brought us in, right? Have you had a chance to have any Armenian food?
Oh yeah. I can't recall the names yet, but
cow food stew.
today we will have really I hope legendary Armenian food. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward also to it. Yeah.
There's some really good Armenian food. All right.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm a foodie. I'm a great foodie.
Yeah. So
definitely.
what's your favorite dish?
Well, I love Indian food. I love Italian food. So anything from India, or the basic dal in India with good chapatis is great. It's just great. I love it. You know.
All right, nice. Well, and this is the Great American Weekend, so maybe we should ask, what's your favorite American food?
Definitely steaks.
Steaks. Okay. Yeah.
And where have you been in America?
So I was twice or three times in New York and Miami.
Was it for work or just traveling?
I would say 50-50. I had some meetings there because it's like the companies that I work with usually have remote culture, so I also have like partners in America. And I also had some space to visit, but it's like I only visited two cities, so New York and Miami. So I can't say much really.
Yeah.
But it's
And I always think New York is, it's in America and it's very American, but it's totally different from the rest of America.
I think it's different than the rest of the world, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fast paced, very busy all the time, and so on. A really packed city.
Yeah.
And can I ask what differences do you see in this like
Between what?
New York and the rest of America?
Oh,
Wow.
I've lived in Indiana. Just a moment.
But see, you've still never been to New York.
I've never been to New York, but
Yeah.
I can compare by just the information that I have.
Like you said, New York is really fast paced. And I lived there for about 3 years. And I always say it's a great place to visit. I didn't really like living there. When you visit, you can go around and see stuff and you have kind of time. But when you live there, it's one of those things where you're always busy. Even if you're not, you step out onto the street and you can feel the hustle and the stress.
The energy, no?
Yeah,
The
you can
energy.
physically.
And for me,
you
that
can
wasn't...
physically
Yeah,
feel it.
yeah.
And people
And-
just blow you.
Yeah.
The flow of the people.
And it wasn't an energy that I usually liked. You know, so it's, you know, when you're living there, the joke is either you're too poor to enjoy all of the stuff that's there to do, so you have to work all the time just to be able to afford to have free time and all the options of entertainment that are there, or if you know you have that money and you are able to do those things, well, then I don't know, but that's it. It's really different. It's a really different place.
Yeah.
I would probably like that energy, I think,
Yeah.
because I like a lot of people.
So you're gonna make the next show for Radio Van from New York?
Oh, hey, I'd love to go to New York and do a show live from there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. You can come and join us.
Today is too late, maybe tomorrow.
I'm open, and I heard also that there's a great Armenian community in LA.
That's there is a big one, and actually all over.
Well,
America,
Glendale is
the
little
capital
Armenia.
of Armenia.
I think there are more ethnic Armenians living in Glendale than there are in Armenia.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of true. Hey, Adam, speaking of spooky stuff and scary stuff, I'd like to ask you, do you have any phobias?
Any phobias?
Do you speak in front of people?
Yeah, I speak in front of people.
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of why he's here, isn't it?
Do you have phobias?
You know, but that's very interesting because it's like feeling comfortable in front of crowds. Yeah, it took me a lot of time actually. So in the beginning it was really stressful experience. So anytime I was pitching an idea or I was speaking about my experiences, I always felt like, you know, this perfectionist part of my brain was telling me, no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. They're not going to like it, you know. So it took me a lot of time to get used to it. And at a certain moment, I spotted that the feeling, the emotions that I feel when I'm a little bit anxious feels exactly the same to excitement, you know? So it's like
adrenaline.
it's more about how I approached it and how I interpreted it, and yeah.
Do you ever find, I find this, that if you don't get a little nervous before you do something like give a speech, that you don't do as well?
Yeah.
And it's something about that nervousness and a little bit of anxiety that makes you perform better.
Yeah, I think it's this really adrenaline that sparks focus, no?
Yeah.
Focus. And I always like try to just open my heart, speak from the heart, and just focus.
And then go, it's not that scary. I think we get nervous before each show. Well, I do a little bit.
I still do a little bit.
Yeah.
You've been at this a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
What is the scariest movie that you've watched?
Scariest movie? Well, I generally feel fear whenever I watch any horror movie, like about zombies or So
Zombie phobia.
That's
what you have.
Exactly, and this is actually,
now we know.
and this is super interesting because it's like, it has many facets, no? This when we say zombie, because on one hand it takes us to horror, and then on the other hand it takes us to this, like, I don't know, at least me, to this death, and also this cultural framework, you know, of people just doing things because other people also do them. So it's a little bit like from Apple commercial, from the first famous Apple commercial.
Yeah.
Like zombie.
So, well, and that, did you see the movie? Now I forget the name of it. We kept on talking about it. I saw it and I loved it.
The Dead Man Can't.
The Dead Don't Die.
Dead Don't
Have
Die.
you seen that?
Yeah.
The Dead Don't Die.
Oh,
It's
sounds
a
Yeah.
really
Oh, it's-
funny
it's-
one.
it's
Make sure you
hilarious.
watch it.
But yeah, but I mean, there are like literal zombies in the movie.
But they're
But some of
funny.
them are also walking around with their cell phones, and so they're like double zombies.
Dead Don't Die. I need to make a note. I need to make a note.
go
Okay,
ahead.
thanks for this
Go
recommendation.
ahead and do it because it's really cool. It's Jarmusch.
Yeah, Jim Jarmusch. Yeah,
Yeah, Jim
with
Jarmusch.
Bill Murray. It's a very funny movie.
Awesome.
Hey, Adam, what are your impressions about Armenia?
Well, I have
Culture shocks, weird stuff, anything. I mean, you're free to talk.
no, actually, no culture shocks. I really like it here. I really like food. I really like people. They're so welcome. Everybody's
you.
so welcoming. Everybody's so friendly. Yes, including you guys. Right now, when it comes to the city, to smells, to energies that I feel, it takes me a little bit to Romania. I used to live for 3 years in Bucharest also. So yeah, also with great experiences. So you know, it's like yeah, similar. And besides, I'm going for 2 tours soon. One tomorrow, the second on Monday and Tuesdays, and maybe then actually we should have this conversation then to see a little bit more, because you know, capital city is always very
Different, yeah,
very
of
different
course.
than the rest of the country, you know. So yeah,
Sure.
looking forward to it.
So, do you want to talk about your work and the you know, HR, human resources, and what you're doing?
About human, definitely. About resources, yeah, I would like treat it more like potentials than resources. But yeah, sure. So
What is the best part about working with human
I think it's
beings?
it's to seeing the shift when people really open up, because I work as a personal coach, as a team coach, also like a business strategist. I have like two companies. One of them is very technological, so it's HR tech startup called Inential, and the second is called Make Team Work. And with Make Team Work, we work a lot with directly with people, so workshopping with them, coaching them, and driving transformation, cultural transformations inside organizations. And yeah, and the best is to see how people open up and can really be happy at work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best part of working with people, that people really do what they want, what they feel. They are aligned with themselves and with their teams, yeah, and that's great. That's, I think, the best part.
How do you see the Armenian market?
Well, I've never done any project over here, so I can only speak after my 2 days experience from the conference, because
Yeah,
we were
that's-
also workshopping,
that's what I meant.
interviewing people and so on. So I don't see any difference between what I see in Europe and what I see in Armenia. Similar problems, similar mindsets, similar approaches. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are very engaged and they are searching for solutions. And yeah, you know, to say something more, I would really need to do a proper project and then reflect on the project. But from these 2 days, absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
In
So
your
it's like-
opinion, what's the most effective or important tool or activity that you've found to try to get people involved and engaged in their work and in kind of the teams that they're working in?
Yeah, there are several, probably 3 main that I would mention. First is the like alignment around the goals and purposes. Why are we doing what we are doing, and where we really want to get with that. The second would be reflection, and the third feedback. So they are somehow connected, because it's like really having this ability to reflect. So just imagine what happened, how did it influence me, what did I learn, and how I will use my learning. It really shifts the mindset, and it's sometimes yeah, and this is very important part, that reflection leads to the moment when you don't think about failures or mistakes, you think about learnings, and this is the biggest thing, because then this stress this stress goes down, and you really think about
seeing the bright side of the moon.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and developing, and really feeling that you are developing and that you are learning stuff with people. Yeah.
What about the sense of humor?
Definitely.
I think that helps.
And the distance, yeah, definitely. It helps.
Okay. What is your perfect weekend for you is continue?
And this really depends because I'm like half extrovert, half introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So when I really have this introvert mode, I like going to the nature, just to nature. So forest, lakes. I love water sports also. Yeah. So my perfect weekend would be to just rent a bungalow in front of the lake and just spend some time there. Mm-hmm. And both active and also passive. By passive, I mean either running discussions with my friends who would be with me or my partner, or reading a book and so on. Mm-hmm. And the second when I have this like too much of this introvert mode and then I need extrovertism, then the weekend in a new city would be the thing, and really finding local people where I can when I can really immerse into culture. This is super cultural immersion is super important for me. It's one of my biggest hobbies. So it's like I have a history of quitting my job quite a few times and just going to the place that I didn't know, learning the language, learning local customs, and just integrating with local cultures, just to get the perspective. So yeah.
What is your sign?
Well, this is a long story. It's like if we look. Universally, it's Gemini.
That's what I thought.
if we look from the how really stars and planets were located when I was born, where I was born, it's also like very strong influence from Cancer and Leo.
Mm-hmm. The ascendant. What's the word for it? Like your second.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to my mind that is. You're Gemini. Okay.
I would ask why is that, but
how would you change yourself?
How would I change myself? Well, definitely, it's like sometimes when I wake up, I really feel a little bit of an anxiety. So definitely, I would like to change that. Sometimes I like patience, especially when when I'm in a very busy context and I have my introvert state, then my patience just diminishes, and I would love to
some extra patience.
And definitely that there's a part of this perfectionism that keeps telling me still from time to time that this is not good enough, you are not good enough, and so on, and shifting this into you are just fine would be great. Yeah, so I guess this would be my reflection on this. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Thank you for the honest answers. Steve, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. You've got some good ones.
Okay. What is love? What is love? I will sing that song whenever we ask this question.
Yeah.
Do you need some time?
But you mean to recenter?
To think.
You mean more like intimate love, or love generally? Like love is wishing. It's like when I think about open heart, I just wish everybody to be happy, aligned with themselves, and really following their path. So it's like wishing people best without really having any pretentious thought behind this. This would be love. I think love. Also in partnerships, like when I think about love, it just cannot be pretentious. So the real love to me is just wishing the best for this somebody or for the group of people. It can be also your friends and so on, but not demanding.
You're so kind. People. Are you married?
Almost.
Almost. Oh.
What effect do you think getting married will have on your Well, your
on
life,
your,
but
on
also
your unconditional love.
on your idea of love. But also, I mean, you were talking about you love to just drop things every once in a while and go somewhere new and experience something new.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to continue that?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
It seems so. And right now, with Larissa, who is my partner, actually, we decided to prototype our lives a little bit. So so to move from one place to another, see and live in live in quite few different places. We take Valencia into consideration, Amsterdam, and some other cities. So we will really see. And regarding marriage, well, when I look really around, maybe it's like the experiences of my friends or beloved ones are not that perfect. So marriage like changes a little bit. People, yeah, and it's hard to say, and I prefer not to think about it. I will stay iterative.
Just jump into it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. Just
close
go.
your eyes.
Yeah. Well, and then
and how does it work?
It's been wow. It's been
wow.
It's been 18 years, 19 years,
Brilliant.
so it's worked out pretty well.
Awesome. Yay.
So I think I was more prepared for having, or I was thinking more about my future when I was having my first child. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to change everything. And so I was prepared for everything to change. Mm-hmm. And a lot changed, but not everything. So it's one of those things, I overestimated it, and it turned out being just fine.
Intentions. That's what's important.
Yeah, and approach, congratulations for that. It sounds also very optimistic.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would that be?
Probably Nelson Mandela.
Why?
Would be this person. Nelson Mandela, because it's like, I always thought about Nelson Mandela as extremely peaceful person, right? And lately I learned that he had like two periods in his life. The first was very rebellious, and he was really fighting, fighting. And then he was jailed, and then
he was also Gemini.
But I think that's a beautiful thing to point out about Nelson Mandela, because we think, oh, he was in prison just because he was speaking out against the government. No, he was in prison because he really was a terrorist who was part of an organization that was trying to stage an armed revolt. And he was a Marxist at one point, and I mean his past is very complicated.
It's very complicated, and I would like to interview him on that. How was it, especially? I mean, how was the first part of his life? How was it sparked? Yeah.
Have you seen the movie? Yeah, and that's great because there's one line in there where he says, I need, when I walk out of this prison, I need to leave all of the hate behind me, and do something else because I can't bring that out, and because it won't be good for my cause and what I'm trying to do. So there's just that transformation. Precisely, and most people only know him after the transformation.
Absolutely. And I would love to
before and after.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to explore it a little bit. So if I had a chance, definitely I would have.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that answer. I'd love it.
If there was this one message that the whole world would hear, because the whole world is listening to us right now.
It's awesome. That's what I had exactly from our friends. So yes,
we have a huge audience around the globe.
A little bit of hyperbole there, but okay.
What would that be? You have the chance right here, right now.
The right place, the right time, and right now it's the time for the right answer. No? It's like, well, I think that it would be good if we focus on the human part of us and really build relationships and focus on relationships. Quite often I see that people go and really engage into work and they have like quite some of them quite materialistic approaches, and I would love to see all the people really listening to themselves and connecting with other people, so connecting so just guys, connect to yourself, take your time, think about what you love and go for it.
Oh, I like that. We're gonna quote this thing in our recording.
I want to push you a little bit further on that, don't feel like you have to answer this question.
Master
But you said,
Steve, before you do that, I would like to let you know that we've got only 2 minutes left.
I know. So let me ask my question so we can answer it.
Okay. If it's too philosophical,
you said be human, right? What is human?
You stole my question. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
That's I think what we are doing right now, because we are allowing. I have a feeling that we are allowing right now to create a space all together, all 3 of us, for energy to emerge. It's like, and this conversation just goes, and it's not super logical, it's not super linear. We were not really like briefing each other about it and so on. It's just emerging, and I think this is being human, like getting out from our head and going to our entire bodies. I will just support it with one scientific data. Is like entire experience that is around us is around 12 million bits per second, and our conscious attention is able to grab only 40 bits. So imagine how little it is, and how much is there for us to experience with our bodies.
We need to expand that.
So I think like focusing a little bit more on our feelings and treat our head as a great tool to support us with all the analysis that we need, all the pluses, minuses we need to generate when we think about the decisions to take. Yeah, but head is to help, not to lead, maybe. So when I think about human, I would love us just to think about us as systems.
Great.
Yeah.
Follow the heart.
Follow the heart.
And the last very quick question. If you were going to a Halloween party tonight, what costume would you wear?
Dracula.
There you go.
Why?
Because Romania, because he's lived there.
Yes, that was my first intuition. That was the thought that emerged. It's like
what comes first is the right one. Go for it. Well, hey Adam, thanks for being with us here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Adam.
It was really cool. We enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, guys, and have an amazing evening. And I'm saying it to all the people that are listening to us. Thank you very much for listening.
The whole world.
Whole world.
She tends to exaggerate. It's not everybody. Not everybody has radio or internet. Some people don't.
Thank you for your kind and nice aura that you shared with us here in the studio. Have fun at the party tonight. Say hello to everyone.
I will.
From the Great American Weekend and to RP.
Thank you. Yes, I will say hello to her, and thank you very much again for having me here. It's been a pleasure.
And we'd also like to say her thank you for sending you to us. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. This is still the Great American Weekend.
Hello?
Hi, is your refrigerator running?
No, it doesn't have any legs.
Some American jokes just don't work with foreigners.
Yeah, we're back in the studio after our positive guest. We're going to speak about spooky stuff.
Oh, and actually, I want to stop just for a minute, because one of the slang words or whatever that I have for later on in the show is prank.
Prank.
And that was an example of a prank phone call. When you call somebody up and you ask them a stupid question and get them to make a fool of themselves. It's a prank phone call. So we'll talk more about pranks and tricks and treats.
Before we get to the quotes, I would like to announce something to our listeners right now.
Ooh, a surprise.
Surprise. Speaking of calls, you guys can call in 560901, answer a question, and get 2 tickets for Barov Cellar concert, especially from Radio Van. And let's see how much you love this band and how much you're familiar with their with their repertoire. And I'm not gonna tell the question before
not
you
yet.
No, not yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
But now, just hypothetically, if nobody calls in and nobody answers the question, what happens to the tickets? Do we get to go?
Well, I don't know.
Excuse me.
Steven.
I guess, if that's the case, then I'm just going to flip that little switch over there so that nobody can call in, and we'll just get the tickets.
Turn it off.
No, that would just not be fair now, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And where's the phone, by the way? Let me see, where's our phone? Yeah, here it is. So it's right in front of me. So we're ready to accept calls. 560901. Call in, answer a question, and get 2 tickets on this special episode dedicated to Halloween. And now we're ready to read the quotes. Here we go. Halloween is not only about putting on a costume, but it's about finding the imagination and costume within ourselves. Elvis Duran. Yeah, the hidden alter ego.
The hidden self.
Yeah, alter ego.
Okay, and Halloween, someday you have to sit down and watch the Charlie Brown Halloween special. The Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon. It's the Peanuts characters and whatever. And one of the things in there is Lucy.
Salt peanuts.
Yeah. Lucy, the kind of know-it-all character from Peanuts, says, she says, a Halloween costume should always be the direct opposite of your true personality. And then she dresses as a witch.
Oh, so she's an angel.
So she sees herself as an angel, which she really isn't.
Okay. So the next one. If ever there was a holiday that deserves to be commercialized, it's Halloween. We haven't taken it away from kids. We've just expanded it so that the kid and adults can enjoy it too. Cassandra Peterson.
Well, and that's something interesting. I mean, in the U.S., when I was growing up, Halloween was about the kids. The little kids dressed up. They went trick-or-treating, all that. Ooh, you've got a caller.
Let's see who this is. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, who is this caller? Who are you?
Hello, my name is Narine.
Hello, Narine. How are you doing?
Welcome to the Great American Weekend.
We're fine. Thank you. Thanks
We're
for
better
calling.
now that you called.
I wanted to say that you are both so cute.
Oh, thank you.
I love you very much, and I love your show. I'm trying to be with you every time when you are on air. It's a little difficult, but I'm trying.
Well, thank you for trying. We really appreciate it. But remember, if you miss us live, you can always catch us later.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, she's a real fan. She knows that we have recordings.
I know everything about you.
Thank you, Narine. And so, are you ready to try and get some tickets for Power of Stellar? Do you like Power of Stellar?
Yes, I like them. I love them.
What's your favorite song?
The Princess.
Okay. Now, the question, which is related to Power of Stellar, is about one of their singles. So, are you ready?
Yes, I think I'm ready.
Okay. What is one of the famous singles? What is the title of one of the famous singles, which was among peak chart positions and it was out in 2010? What is the title? The Phantom, The Ghost, and the third option is The Shadow.
Oh, The Phantom.
Oh, that was too
It's
easy.
one of my favorite songs.
That was too easy.
Congratulations.
We have our episode is related to Halloween, so we had to have a spooky question. But I guess this was too easy. But congratulations. And
not for a fan.
This applause is for you.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy.
Congratulations, Nadine.
Thanks for calling in.
You can pick up your tickets from Radio Van anytime, starting from Monday, from 10 to 7 o'clock. So make sure you call us again after the show so we write down your phone number and so we can connect with you regarding the tickets.
Thank you very much.
Okay, congratulations. You're welcome. Make sure you don't stop listening to our show to get
and enjoy the concert.
Enjoy the concert. Bye-bye. Have a great end of the weekend. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye. Bye.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, that was great. And okay, so before
we need to have more prizes, Steven.
Because then people call in.
Yeah.
As I was saying before, we were so wonderfully interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
A twist on that. Before I was so rudely we were wonderfully interrupted. In the U.S., Halloween is primarily about the kids, right? You know, now more and more there are adult parties and stuff like that. But here in Armenia, when I first got here, kids didn't do Halloween. The Halloween parties were all for adults at the bars.
Oh.
You know, and so we had a hard time, finding places for the kids to go trick-or-treating. But out in Vahagni, they started something, and they still do it. I was out on Thursday night, took Emmy out to do some trick-or-treating in Vahagni. And not a lot of the houses participate, but enough of them do to make it worth going out there. And it's really neat. But that's one of those funny things. It's just in the last 2 or 3 years that the kids' Halloween stuff has gotten going here in Armenia.
And it's cool because kids love dressing up, and it's like we don't have this tradition. We don't have a holiday like that. So I think it's a really neat
it's really cool.
tradition.
My older daughter was really big about, let's do Halloween. We have to bring Halloween to Armenia. They have to do it here. So we would have a Halloween party at our house for her friends. And we had to explain to a lot of them, this is what it is. You have to come in a costume. You can't just show up as yourself.
Yeah, and it better be scary. And I think it's already here in Armenia because I was out on the 31st and I saw some witches walking around with
but were they
really
were they
cool
adults
clothing.
Or were they kids?
Adults.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would see adults around dressed up for Halloween long before I saw kids.
We need some more Halloween kids parties, guys out there. If you're listening, do it every year. And this year I think we had some more.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I'm sorry.
That's
the quotes.
Cool, and we'll have a little break.
We gotta go. We'll be back with some more quotes.
Yeah, of course.
After this commercial break.
Of course. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend, an episode on Halloween and all kinds of spooky stuff. And not only, we've got some news and slang and all the regular stuff prepared for you. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Ina, what would make America great again?
More barbecue.
No, we need more freedom. That's what'll make it great.
Join us on Great American Weekend.
And help us solve all of America's problems.
Every show is recorded by the NSA and sent to the White House.
Oh.
You can't cut off the disclaimer.
Yeah, I know. I do it all the time.
That's important information. Or at least that's what the lawyers tell us.
But I was hurrying to say, no, we need more quotes. Not barbecue.
We do need more quotes. I'm going to find some duct tape and put it over my mouth.
Please
so that you can finish
it.
your quotes.
I love the dialogue. Please don't do it. Don't find the duct tape. There is a child in every one of us who is still a trick-or-treater looking for a brightly lit front porch, says Robert Brault. On Halloween, you get to become anything that you want to be. Ava de Lyra. On Halloween, you get to become anything that you want to be.
Just for the night,
Yeah,
unfortunately. Here would be an interesting question to ask somebody. Okay, what would you dress up as for Halloween if there was a possibility that you would be stuck as that for the rest of your life?
Oh, we should have asked that to Adam.
Yeah, write that down. We need to remember.
I wonder if he would love to stay in Dracula's costume for the rest of his life.
And actually, Dracula's immortal, so it would be like the rest of eternity until he gets a stake stuck through his heart, right?
But he would have to read his lectures at night time because at the daytime he would live in the coffin. Okay. Ghosts and goblins come to play on October's final day. Rusty Fisher. Where there is no imagination, there is no horror, says Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Well, it's an interesting one because fears. There are these statements that we make up all the fears. The fear is inside our head, but there is no such thing as fear in reality. So the rich imagination just motivates our fears to be more colorful and expand. There is nothing that gives more assurance than a mask.
Ooh, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that gives more assurance than a mask. It's kind of true, but it goes against what you would,
would want to do.
Yeah.
Trick or treat bag of sweets. Ghosts are walking down the street. There is a child in every one of us who is still a tree. Yeah, I've read this one. So, yeah, I'm out of quotes. This is all I have. But I also have a quiz.
Ooh. Okay.
And
do you want to do? You're gonna quiz me?
Yeah, I'm gonna quiz you.
Okay. I have to find some quizzes so I can quiz you.
Yeah,
sometime.
let's do it next time.
Okay. I did once, but
yeah.
Why I'm always the one who has to take the test?
Because you're the master, master of slang words and phrases. So let's go. Let the Halloween quiz begin. Where does Halloween come from? An ancient festival to celebrate the dead? Father's Christmas birthday? Father Christmas birthday? The start of the pumpkin season? A motorway service station outside Birmingham?
The first one.
Yeah,
it's It's
definitely.
an old pagan celebration.
Before people used pumpkins, what were the jack-o'-lanterns made out of? Potatoes? Turnips? Onions? Bananas? That would be funny to see a banana jack-o'-lantern.
Well, I think the right answer there is turnips, because a lot of the Halloween traditions are traced back to Celtic or Irish things.
You're right.
And the turnips were something that they would do.
See how fun it is to quiz you, because you always have comments on each question. The next one. Pumpkins come in lots of different colors, but which one of these is made up? Blue pumpkins, green pumpkins, white pumpkins, glow-in-the-dark purple pumpkins. The last one is really funny.
Barring any sort of like radical genetic engineering, I think the glow-in-the-dark purple ones are made up.
Where is Transylvania? Hungary, Scotland, Romania? Nowhere. It's made up.
Romania.
Question number 5. What do you call a fear of Halloween? Oh, the Samhainophobia?
That's what it is. And I'm glad this is multiple choice, because I've seen that word before, but there's no way I'd be able to remember it or pronounce it.
Okay. Immediate answer. Let's move to the next one. Which of these would be most useful if a werewolf attacked you?
Garlic.
Yeah?
Oh no! Wait, no! Sorry, garlic is
vampire.
Is vampires.
Yeah.
A silver bullet. The silver bullet's supposed to take
A gun with
care.
silver bullets.
Yeah.
There you go.
And apparently, it's impossible to fire a bullet that's made out of silver. There's something about the density of silver where it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to kill a werewolf.
Oh, you broke my heart. If a werewolf attacks me, I will be scared to death then. When do werewolves transform themselves? 10 p.m. every second Tuesday of the month.
Every second Tuesday.
During lunar eclipses, when there's a full moon, whenever they feel like it.
I think technically it's whenever there's a full moon, but, probably whenever they feel like it too.
So which answer?
No, the full moon.
Okay. And the last, another question, and then we'll go on a break. And I promise to our listeners that I won't read all the questions to Stephen.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have a break, and then we will have song, I Put a Spell on You.
Oh, such a good song. And there are lots of different versions of it. Whose version are we going to listen to?
I think Nina Simone.
Okay.
I think
one of my favorites is Tab Benoit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victorians were big fans of spooky things, but why did they put bells in their coffins? So they could get into heaven easier in case they were buried alive by accident and needed to ring for help, so their ghosts could call for their supper.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm dead, but bring me some food.
And number 4, it made a nice tinkling noise at the funeral.
No, it's the second one, because there was we didn't know about comas or anything like that, so there were a lot of people that they thought were dead, but they weren't, so they went to bury them.
Nice tinkling
yeah, and so they would tie strings to one of your fingers or whatever, and put a bell on it. So if you started moving your fingers, then it would ring the bell, and they would know that you weren't dead, and they would take you out. So
you can ring my bell.
That's something different, but okay.
Guys, we've got a break, and we'll come back after the song. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend with Halloween episode with Master Steve and
Ina MK.
What's the best word in American English?
My all-time favorite word is but I usually refer to it as lovemaking.
Become more fluent in American English and slang.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn. I am Master Steve, and I am here with
Ina MK, and we will finish the quiz and get right to the slang because it was announced in the jingle. So, what does Dracula transform himself into? A cat? A hat?
Bat. Or a cat in a hat?
What do mummies smell like? The incense they were buried with? Old feet? Wet dog? Roast beef?
Yuck. Incense, I hope.
Old feet. That's
Old feet. I don't know. It depends on how tightly the coffin was closed.
Washed. What do you call a ghost that moves things around your house?
Poltergeist.
Yeah, there it goes. The next question. What are mummies wrapped up in? Linen cloth?
Toilet paper. No. Linen. That was a Halloween costume when I was growing up. You wrap yourself in toilet paper. It's I'm a mummy.
And they TP the houses as well. Yeah. Crepe paper, loo roll, nothing. That's just their pajamas.
I like the last one, but it's the first one. It's just their pajamas. They need new pajamas. They're falling apart.
They need jammies. How heavy was the world's largest pumpkin? Oh, goodness. I see the picture here. 900 kilos, 1 ton, twice as heavy as the world's heaviest carrot. 552 kilos.
552 kilos, just a guess.
Mm-hmm. Which of these ghost stories from around the world is made up? The what? Well,
they're all made up because ghosts aren't written. No, I'm just kidding.
The Manananggal from the Philippines, Pokong from Indonesia, El Cuco from Chile, and Captain Spooky Chops from West Ruiz. Ruislip.
Spooky Chops just sounds.
I broke my joke.
It sounds funny and not scary. I'm just going to say Spooky Chops.
Yeah, I guess that is that one. What's the only way to kill a zombie? Feed it cold custard, cut off its head, or destroy its brain. Make it watch old black and white movies until it dies of boredom.
Oh no! Oh no! I like black and white movies. Don't. No.
Yeah, don't.
Well, some black and white
people.
movies.
It's
There's
impossible.
some really good black and white movies out there.
It's impossible. Try to make friends with it instead.
Now you got to cut off the head or destroy its brain.
Yeah, right. What brought Frankenstein monster to life? Lightning, thunder, heavy rain, an alarm clock.
An alarm? No. Lightning.
Lightning, yeah. Are pumpkins fruits or vegetables? Fruit, vegetable, both, neither. Ta-da. We've got something that Master Steve doesn't know.
It's a
sensation.
It's a fruit. No, it's a vegetable. It's a vegetable.
Okay. Which famous prince was Dracula based on? Prince Charles?
Vlad the Impaler.
Impaler, yeah. What fruit would you go bobbing for at Halloween? Pineapple, apples, plums, grapefruit.
Ouch. Pineapples? That would hurt, I think. No, apples. You go bobbing for apples.
Yeah, and the last question. Which of these Halloween movies is made up? Ghostbusters, Hotel Transylvania, Monsters, Inc., Pumpkin Apocalypse 6.
Pumpkin Apocalypse 6, because I think there were only 3 of them. No, I've never heard of that before. Pumpkin Apocalypse. Is that kind of like Sharknado?
Ta-da! Amazing. Your score is 17 out of 20. You're a Halloween expert.
Oh, which ones did I get wrong?
And they won't say.
Oh.
This is not fair.
But then I can't learn from my mistakes.
This is a bad
That's
quiz.
no fun.
Okay, let's move to slang.
Okay. So I've got a bunch of kind of scary Halloween-related words. So blood curdling.
Oh.
It means it's scary, like really scary.
Yeah.
Like it makes you shiver with fear. It makes your blood clump up. Boogeyman, a scary person or a ghost. Although it's used a lot of times these days to talk about something that's made up that's supposed to scare you. Yeah.
Boogeyman.
Yeah, like, oh, it's just a boogeyman.
The boogeyman
it's just something
will come and get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it's like that's a political boogeyman. It's just something that's made up that's supposed to scare you. A casket is another word for a coffin. And that's so the cat. Yeah. Anyway, a cauldron. It's like a big pot, usually big black cast iron pot, like the witches use to make their spells and their potions. A cloak. It's like a cape and a coat all together, and that's what vampires wear. A cloak. Let's see. A corpse is another word for a dead body.
Yeah.
Creepy is something that's disturbing or unsettling. A creeper is a person who is creepy.
Creeper.
Yeah, you're a
such
creeper.
a creeper.
But yeah,
that sounds like a offending something.
Well, and I mean, actually, and it's usually used to talk about people who are like
idiots.
No, not like disturbing people that are doing inappropriate things.
Oh, okay.
You're a creeper.
You're a creeper.
Yeah. Fangs are the sharp pointed teeth that vampires and werewolves have. A fiend is a type of monster. A ghoul, again, is a flesh-eating monster. A lot of these are monsters. Goblins are ugly, small, little creatures, usually magical, and they make mischief.
Are they good or bad? Goblins.
I don't know if they're really bad, but they make mischief. They cause trouble. They're not evil. They don't probably have evil intent, but they just like to create mischief. Mess with things. Gory is violent or bloody to a disgusting degree. I mean, that's just it's gory, yucky. The Grim Reaper is death. Yeah.
Grim Reaper?
Grim Reaper. That's the skeleton who wears the big black robe. It's death.
Yeah, death.
It's the person who comes to collect you when you die.
Okay.
And the whole idea of the Reaper, I mean, reaping is another word for harvesting. So he comes to harvest souls and take them to
I see.
the other side. And he comes with a scythe.
Very
he
useful
comes with
vocab.
he comes with a scythe, which is
We've seen that.
Well, yeah, you know,
in the movies.
Let's see. The scythe is used for harvesting. We've got the jack-o'-lanterns, and of course, these are the pumpkins that you hollow out. You take all the yucky guts out of them, and you carve a face in it.
Light in it.
Yeah, and you put a light in it. A prank, I was talking about that before, a prank. So trick-or-treating is you go to people's houses, you know, as kids or, you know, older sometimes. I went trick-or-treating quite a ways through high school even, but that's another story.
What kind of tricks would you prepare if they wouldn't give you candy?
We really never had to face that.
Burn the house.
Option. I mean, you know, I know I've heard stories about people older than me. You would go and teepee their house, or you would soap their windows.
Oh.
You would have like a wet bar of soap, and you would just go and wipe it all over their windows. Which, especially in the northern part of the United States, that becomes a real pain in the butt because it's cold out.
It freezes.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily freeze, but it's just not pleasant to have to go out and wash your windows on November 1st. You know, take all this.
Or do it with a cat and its blood.
Ew.
To write you're next.
Yeah, or another. You could smash their pumpkins.
Oh, that's not.
You know,
nice.
and that was always something that you would need to take your jack-o'-lanterns in after a certain point in time in the evening. Otherwise, the older kids who were out pulling pranks or just causing mischief would go around and smash pumpkins.
Come on, just buy candies,
which
guys.
actually gave the name to a really good alternative band from the 90s, the Smashing Pumpkins. But yeah, you'd go around on November 1st and see pumpkins smashed in the street. Yeah. Should we continue?
No, we have actually a song.
Let's do a song, and we can come back with maybe some news or maybe some more slang after the song.
Yeah, slang is fun.
Yeah.
And now we'll put a song, Night Call by Kavinsky. Night Call, ooh, sounds spooky. We'll be back with the Great American Weekend news and some slang.
Some more slang and some news after this song.
So stay tuned and listen to us till 9 p.m. We're still here with Master Steve
and Ina MK.
Hey, what kind of fixins do you like on your hot dog?
Fixins?
Yeah, relish, onions, mustard, ketchup, condiments.
No, not that.
Oh, fixins. I love chili dogs.
Learn about American cuisine on the Great American Weekend.
We're back in the studio with Master Steve
and Ina MK here on the Great American Weekend.
And we've got some leftovers from the from the slang stuff.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, there are a few more things that I've got on my list here. So I've got warlock, which is a male witch.
Yeah.
Okay. Wicca, which is an old kind of pagan religion.
Wicca?
Yeah, Wicca. WICCA. And that's kind of supposed to be the religion that the witches practice. But I mean, all of this is kind of whatever. It's not real detailed or, you know.
It's not scientifically proved.
Yeah. Bobbing for apples. We talked about that. You get a big tub full of water and you put apples floating in there, and you can, stick your head down in there and bite an apple and pull it out with your teeth. Here's another thing about being scared, that, having your hairs stand up or having the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's one of those things that gives you, it scares you and it gives you this kind of chill, and it just gives you that feeling of all the little tiny hairs on your body just standing straight up, like you're kind of at attention. And yeah, like, and the creepy crawlies.
Creepy crawlies.
Yeah, that gives me the creepy crawlies. It makes me feel kind of scared or squeamish or uncomfortable. Yeah, there's something not right about that. It gives me the creepy crawlies. Yeah,
that's it.
So I know one of the movies that's playing in Yerevan this week is holiday related. The Addams Family,
and
that's something
movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I want to watch it with Sasha.
Yeah, of course. And that's, I just remember because it's had so many kind of remakes and reconfigurations. It used to be a TV show, a black and white TV show.
Yeah, it was black and white.
Yeah. And the characters from this, some of them are just incredible.
Hilarious.
You know, you've got Morticia Adams, this kind of goth woman who's the mother of the family, and Gomez and Uncle Fester, who's just a weirdo, and Lurch, the big, almost Frankenstein's monster butler who answers the door. You rang. You know, and my favorites were Thing, and I always got them confused. Thing and Cousin It.
Thing.
Yeah, Cousin Thing was just the hand. It's a hand that runs around. Yeah. And Cousin It is just this hair. It's like a person completely covered in hair, and you don't know whether it's a boy or a girl or a man or a woman or whatever. It's
a nice family. Yeah,
it's just a big thing of hair. It's a good show. Lots of interesting characters in that one. Well, do we have news?
We've got news. Yeah. Let's move to the news. Let's move to reality a little bit.
Yeah. What? The Addams family isn't real?
Well, kind of.
That breaks my heart.
There are some families
that are
like that.
Weird like that. Yeah. Well, every family's weird in its own way.
Yeah, of course. So what do we have in America?
In America, I was there.
You come with some fresh news
I was there.
from America.
Oh, man. You know, everybody's talking about Trump on the news. And that's the funny thing. The news is like all about Trump and about impeachment and all. It's all, and up until, what was it, yesterday, 2 days ago, Thursday, nothing had really happened with the impeachment, right? The House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, along with a couple of other committees, were holding hearings. But they were closed door hearings. So only the congressmen and congresswomen on the committees could be in the hearings while they were, taking testimony from people about this Ukraine phone call and that whole kind of mess that's going on. And so the Republicans were complaining that this is secretive and, it's unfair. And there's something to that. Not that in the Constitution, there's no prescription and there's no real legal prescription for how impeachment is supposed to proceed. So there's no legal way to go about this. They depend on tradition and precedent, like what's happened in the past. And so it was a little odd to have these closed door hearings. And we can talk about that some other time, but there's a lot of history and details about this. So on Thursday, the House of Representatives voted to start a formal impeachment inquiry, which means now these committees in Congress will start calling in people to interview them, to give testimony, to give evidence that they'll put together. And then if they find enough evidence, they'll write up articles of impeachment and they'll vote to impeach the president. And then if he's impeached, then it'll go to a trial in the Senate, and the trial in the Senate will have to find him guilty in order to then remove him from office. So really the only thing that's happened that has any real meaning or substance is that they voted to formally start the inquiry, which they didn't have to do legally, but they did. And part of it is just to try to be more fair about the whole thing. The hearings that were going on, and this is what I think is weird about them. The Republicans were saying, well, it's unconstitutional for them to have these closed door hearings. Well, no, it's not unconstitutional. You're exaggerating. You're wildly exaggerating. The Democrats, on the other hand, were saying, well, this is perfectly normal. We need to do this. It's like a grand jury hearing. Well, no, that's not really true either. You don't have to do it this way, and it hasn't necessarily been done this way in the past.
Where is the truth?
I don't know.
It's somewhere in the middle.
But since they started having those hearings, the public opinion polls have gone more in favor of impeaching Trump. So more people after these like week and a half or 2 weeks of closed door hearings, more people are in favor of impeaching Trump than were afterwards. And I think part of what is kind of not quite right. I don't want to say fair, because then it sounds like you're just whining. But what is kind of manipulative about this is they weren't supposed to release any information from the testimony in these closed door hearings, and so you would hear about who was going in to testify. Yeah, you would hear about who's going in to testify, and some days you would hear nothing in the news about what the testimony was, and other days people would leak some information. You know, they're not supposed to release this to the press, but we're going to, and let them know what's going on. And all of the leaks seem to be very negative for Trump. And then there were days where, you know, they were kind of expecting the person.
Done on purpose.
I think it was. And that's what I think is kind of, you know, just not right about the way that that was handled. That pretty much all of the leaks that came out were negative to Trump. And the people that testified that were going to be kind of assumed to have neutral or positive things to say, there were no leaks really about what they were saying.
Yeah, there was no choice.
It's
kind of.
You know, so to open this up and to have it be public, I think is a much better thing, even though it's not constitutionally necessary or legally necessary. Just in terms of, you know,
to give less intrigue to all the things.
To have it be a little less biased, maybe it's good. So that's really the only thing that's happened in terms of impeachment at this point.
Here in Armenia, there was we don't have a lot time, but we've got like 1 minute, so I would like to just say in one sentence that there was a huge discussion about the Senate resolution.
Oh, no, House resolution.
The House resolution. And Serge Tankan wrote in his Facebook comment that Senate resolution is next.
Well, and that's maybe it's a Senate.
Regarding the genocide recognition.
Yeah, and the thing about this is they vote, and this is, they have voted in the past, I think it's in 75 and 84 or 82. The House of Representatives have voted to say we're going to commemorate or remember the possibility of how inhumane human beings can be to one another on April 24th. Right. Yeah. And so they've done that. And the main idea of that was to call attention to the Armenian genocide. Yeah. This resolution that passed is far more explicit in terms of we need to go.
Yeah, it's unfair, but we can talk a little bit afterwards before we go on for the calendar.
So we got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
We'll be back, maybe with a little bit more resolution talk and definitely with the calendar of events.
Hey, where are you off to?
I'm playing soccer.
You lost your sock?
No, I'm playing soccer. What you call football?
No, you don't say soccer. You say football.
Join us on the Great American Weekend and learn about different sports from America and around the world.
Back in the studio, ready for the calendar of events. It seems like time is running fast, kind of.
Yeah, I've been gone for a while, and time is just flying by while we're on air here.
We forgot about that.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep, and we are.
So we've got the American Corner of Yerevan. They invite you to this week's reading club, moderated by Fulbright English teaching fellow Natalie Sharp. This week, they'll be reading and discussing Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. The club meets every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Please be informed that this club is for people with intermediate or higher English level skills. Make sure to present a library card in order to be able to participate in the club. And please don't be late.
Yeah. Americans don't like people being late.
No.
Armenians.
Armenian time.
Armenian time. Movies in English at Kino Park, Yerevan Mall, November 3rd through 6th. The Addams Family, we spoke earlier during the show about this one. So 2:10 p.m. every day from 3rd to 6th, you have the opportunity to watch this
to go meet all of the colorful characters in the Addams Family.
And it's all in English. Terminator, Dark Fate. Oh, there is the last Terminator.
It never terminates.
Yeah, it never terminates. At 5:55 p.m. or 9:15 p.m. Go and watch it if you're a Terminator fan. And we've got Joker at 6:45 p.m. and now, Master Steve, you're gonna tell me how to pronounce this one.
I have no idea.
Because in Russian translation is Maleficenta.
Maleficenta. Oh, that makes sense. Maleficenta. Okay.
Maleficenta, Mistress of Evil, 2:25 p.m. I actually watched this one with my son. It was so cool, and I was even like touched in the middle of the movie. I'm explaining to him, like, you see, people, they have to be in harmony with the nature, and my son was like looking at me like, Mom, are you okay?
So we've got live music this week. We've got a jam session with Vahagen Hyderpetyan's trio at Uli Hanyan Club November 3rd. That's tomorrow night. At Stop Club tomorrow night, we've got 3 bands, The Kindergarten, Cywood, and Lilosity. That is tomorrow night, November 3rd at Stop Club. We've got the John Marshall Quartet at Uli Hanyan on November 4th. He's actually playing with his quartet tonight at Uli Hanyan. Mm-hmm. It's a great show. He's a great trumpet player from the U.S. Check that out if you're into jazz. Karina Arastumian and the band playing at Mezzo also on November 4th. That's Monday. Jazz funk band Tal Babitsky Trio, the Tal Babitsky Trio. They're from Israel visiting here. They are playing November 5th at Uli Hanyan Club. We've got the Karen Hazarian Quartet at Uli Hanyan on the 7th of November. And Lucy Kanyan Quartet at Uli Hanyan on November 8th. And Reincarnation Orchestra at Jan's Music Hall on November 10th.
And we made it right to the end of the show. We're done. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. Thank you for all your calls and comments. And we'll be back next Saturday with new theme and with old team. Yeah. Master Steve
and Ina MK signing off for the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn.
Bye-bye. Have a safe end of the weekend.